commuting the sentences of some 1,500 people and pardoning dozens more. Joining us live right here in Studio 55 is CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
Good to see you.
Good to see you here.
Yeah.
All right.
Love what you're doing with the place.
Very, very good decorating skills I have. All right, so let's talk about these clemencies and these pardons. What struck you about them?
Well, that they've come so quickly after the pardon of his son, Hunter Biden, and it made a lot of concern among Democrats that perhaps the president is failing to use those powers for everyday Americans who are perhaps more deserving than his son, or at least deserve consideration. These 1,500 are mostly people who were under home confinement during or in the wake of the pandemic. A lot of prison officials, jail officials had sent people into home confinement so that the virus wouldn't spread. At this point, he's essentially saying your sentences are over for now. The 39 who've been pardoned, a mix of nonviolent, mostly drug offenses, similar to his son's issues. But we don't yet know who exactly these people are. The White House hasn't released the names, so we're waiting to hear. And we know that there are probably going to be another few rounds of these leading up to the last 6.5 or 5.5 weeks to go in this presidency. Will they include people like the son and daughter-in-law of Jesse Jackson? The Reverend has asked that the former congressman and the former alderwoman in Chicago be pardoned. Will it include a certain environmental lawyer who's been become a cause celeb for a lot of Democratic lawmakers? Or will it just include a lot of everyday Americans, like people have said, who are deserving of this? We'll wait and see. But clearly, if he's moving this quickly on them, it's a sign that they've heard the reaction to this, and while they can appreciate that he pardoned his son, they're perhaps not so thrilled that he did his son first and didn't necessarily consider all these other people.
Really, really interesting. Let me switch gears and ask you about something that I didn't realize until the news broke yesterday that was sort of unique in American history. The president-elect invited the leader of another foreign nation, and this foreign nation happens to be China, to come to the inauguration next month. And I could be wrong about this. This is not common, right?
So we looked, and State Department keeps records all the way back to 1874. And there's no sign of any foreign leader, head of state, ever coming to an American presidential inauguration.
For me and a lot of other just sort of everyday Americans, you would think in your head that, yeah, one of our, like the Prime Minister of Britain or the President of France would be here, but no.
They all get together at coronations, big papal funerals, global summits, but they've never come to an American inauguration. And I think, for example, of inaugurations in Latin America, the King of Spain usually comes. A bunch of the other neighbors show up, right? If Brazil's doing it, then half the continent shows up in
Same thing with Africa. Like when there's an African head of state, all head of states show up.
But they've never been invited by the states. So now, yes, we learned first, our Jennifer Jacobs reported that Xi Jinping has been invited shortly after the election. Trump did